The important stuff in this chapter starts after the flashback in the beginning, so that's where we'll start this. Sky and Zero and Moon are walking through school when they overhear a boy named Yuri, yes, that Yuri, say Zera's name. Zero immediately runs over and tries to interrogate Yuri and ends up suddenly slamming him to the ground while begging him to tell him, but he gets carried away by security. Later, he's being scolded and grounded by Kamari, which leads to him saying that Kamari is just like Zayla. Zero apologizes later though, in tears, and him and Kamari make up. Chapter 11.5 is literally just a bunch of fluff and stuff, so I'm gonna be skipping over it. Next chapter. Chapter starts with Zero thinking about what he's gonna get Moon for his birthday, and about his big sisters, when he hears a voice that makes him freeze. The voice belongs to Uzuma Adamatus, the scientist woman who kidnapped him and held him in her lab for 3 years before he was able to escape. Uzuma teases and scares Zero for a bit before vaguely suggesting that she did something to Kamari. Zero rushes home and then hugs Kamari when he realizes she's okay. Later on, Zero asks Rishi what Moon likes in turn for a favor, Moon has his birthday party, and then the chapter ends. In chapter 12.5, we're introduced to Echo Lystris, Sky's 1 year younger cousin, and a childhood friend of Rishi, Sky, and Moon. Why LP decided to introduce a main character in a half chapter of all things? I don't know. Next chapter. The chapter starts with Midnight tending to Zero and Echo's wounds, and then a page break shortly after to the Dragona gang going to Zero's house. Here, we learn that Echo knows Kamari. And this is where we also learn that Echo has been asking Kamari to marry him for a bit now, in which he, of course, gets denied every time. After a bit of nothing, Moon finally gets his gift from Zero and cries. Chapter 13.5 is nothing serious, so we're skipping it over. Next chapter. This one is long, so I'm going to sum it up very fast. The chapter starts with Zero taking care of a very sick Moon, which lasts for a bit of this chapter. The Dragona gang goes camping, in which Echo falls down a mountain and breaks his wing. Sky teases Zero like she does usually, and then that chapter ends. Chapter 14.5 is where Gabriel is reintroduced into the story, in which Zero immediately begins berating him, and Zero and Rishi argue, resulting in Zero getting a scar on his eye. Next. The chapter starts with Sky yelling about Rishi blinding Zero, and then Zero and Moon tell her to calm down, and then Sky actually calms down. After the page break, we see the group texting in this group chat in an actual texting format, which is pretty cool. After this, the group go to the mall, get into a fight, run away, Sky and Zero kiss for the first time, and the chapter ends. Next. This chapter starts with a flashback of Zero being rejected by an older girl and then his friends trying and failing to comfort him. Oh, and Sky is upset at him for some reason. Sky and Echo's birthday happen, Sky gets her stuff together, and Zero and Sky finally confess their feelings for each other. In chapter 16.5, Zero is given a sword and then told his Uncle Gabriel is in the hospital. Zero goes to the hospital, has a heartfelt last scene with Gabriel, and then Gabriel literally dies. Next chapter. For this entire chapter, Zero is in a deep depression after his Uncle Gabriel dies, and he's being haunted and tormented by the ghosts of his dead family members. Now, I can't really give this chapter justice, as it's actually pretty good. It's probably my favorite chapter in the entire book. So I would advise you to actually go and read it on AO3. This chapter starts with Sky and Zero in bed talking. When Zero looks outside, he sees that the sky is pitch black. They run outside and meet up with the rest of the Dragona gang, and then they get chased into the forest by a huge black monster. They hide in a cave, and Rishi says she's gonna investigate. Rishi investigates the school, gets caught by a monster, and presumably dies. Back in the cave, everyone is pulled out by the same monster that chased them, which is revealed to be piloted by Uzama. But when Zero is chomped, it's all revealed to be a nightmare. In chapter 18.5, it's just about the Dragonin gang reeling from their shared nightmare. Next chapter. This chapter starts with Zero asking Sky if they're dating, and him also revealing that there was an 11-month time skip. Sky gives a vague answer, and Zero just accepts it. Later, Zero and Sky are arguing over this same thing, in which Sky says some hurtful words that sends Zero away in tears. When the Dragonin gang is hanging out, Sky and Zero are walking and arguing when a random hooded man appears and aims a pistol at Zero. But Sky gets in the way, resulting in her getting shot in the chest instead. This chapter ends with her dying in Zero's arms while Zero apologizes profusely. Yeah, this was extremely sudden and even surprised me when I read it. Anyway, next chapter. The final chapter of Early Days is basically the same as the final chapter in Before the Storm. Zero was going through an extreme depression after Sky's death, which Greer, Comrie, and Moon helped him get through. Rishi and Echo leave Dragona Town to go to Tenby Island, and Zero is getting ready to leave Dragona Town and go back to Floralfield Town. Zero gives Moon his iconic nickname, Hero, and Moon asks Zero if he can come with him to Floralfield Town, which Zero agrees with. Zero, Greer, Comrie, and Moon all go back to Floralfield, and Zero, Zeri, and Zara are reunited again after 9 long years. The chapter ends with Zero and Moon reminiscing about all their fun times together as a group back in Dragona Town, and them telling each other that they'll always be together forever. And that's the end of Ground Zero Early Days. As I said before, Early Days is a much better prequel than Before the Storm, despite being relatively the same story. I like how Echo and Rishi are much more prominent characters in the story, and I'm absolutely relieved that this is much, much better written than Before the Storm, both aesthetics-wise and story-wise. While I do miss the paperback format, I feel as if AO3 gives much more freedom than paper. And, well, that's basically it for the review. Again, sorry for the very rough upload schedule. Depression has been hitting me extremely hard, and I've lost all my motivation to do anything, but it's slowly coming back. But that's it for me. I love you all, and I hope you stay safe out there. Goodbye, and have a good day.